Hello everyone!
Hi!
Welcome back! Today we will walk you through a little bit of our routine. We will explain what we do on the day of a concert, and then we also explain what we do right before going on stage. Since we are both very different, there are some things in common, but we are very different, so we hope that both approaches may help you. Maybe you also have something yourself that you do that nobody else does, so please share that in the comments. But now let's start and jump right into it.
Sing, sing, sing. So first thing first, I think it's very necessary to already take care of yourself the day before the concert. I try to sleep well the night before, and I don't set an alarm unless I absolutely have to. A rested voice equals a happy voice. Of course, it's not always possible because, we give some lessons, we have some tasks to do and work, but at least I'm trying. When I wake up, hydration is my number one priority. A big glass of water with lemon, maybe some herbal tea. No caffeine right away because I actually feel that it makes my throat a bit dry. Then it would be perfect to do some easy exercises like stretching or yoga or actually any movement. Unfortunately now, in my case, it's only knowledge, to be honest, not action, but I definitely recommend that because when your body is tight, your voice actually is too. And mindset matters. So journaling, meditating or praying, whatever works for you, do it. When it comes to eating at the day of the concert, I eat breakfast and lunch and later on actually only fruits. That's basically it. The day of the concert is a fasting day, I would say, for me. The only time that I broke that rule was at the graduation concert, at the graduation day in Copenhagen, because we went with Anne-Catherine, one of our beautiful friends from studies, for burgers. And I survived. I was so surprised that actually maybe the fasting before the concert is not that suitable for me anymore. But yeah, at the day of the concert, there's always so many things to do and remember about. All the details matter. So I think I also don't eat that much because I don't have time. So voiceover. If there's a sound check or final rehearsal, that happens in the afternoon, of course, it's the chance to double check my gear, test the acoustics and adjust levels. This is also when I start mentally going through the set list, not just the songs, but the flow, transitions, and where I'll talk to the audience, but not too much because I see that now it's actually easier for me to be spontaneous. Back in the day, it wasn't like that, so it's changed and I'm very grateful because, yeah, now it's I just go with the flow and it works much better to speak from the heart, not from the paper.
It comes with experience. In the beginning, you need more guidelines, and then once you feel more comfortable, you feel more free to be spontaneous. And I think that really makes a difference. That's when you realize, okay, now I'm comfortable in that role.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's much better. It's like a totally different level, and also I feel like it really it allows you to be really closer to the audience, to be with them. Not only that you are, on the stage and you are separated, but you could feel like you are actually sitting with them or standing with them on their side, not that you are the star.
And then being spontaneous also makes them feel special because it's only for them in that moment, and then in a different show you do something different.
Okay, and later things start to feel real. I unpack, set up my space and get into performance mode, which means not really talking to people modes. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm not a huge fan of warming up, so I don't do much. Maybe some short sounds, some glides, some exercises, short exercises just to warm up the modes, mainly the modes that I need for the performance. So, if I'm having the gig which is very soft and intimate. I'm not gonna, stir up my edge. It's just not so necessary, or distortion. Other than that, I also do a bit of the stretching, but we're gonna talk about it in our next video, so stay tuned. It will be a bit more practical. Yeah, and right before going on the stage is a mix of nerves and adrenaline. So I try to find a quiet corner to center myself. Some people pray, some meditate, jump up and down. I do a little bit of three, depending on the vibe. And then lights go down and we step into the magic. So that is my day as a singer before the concert. It's a mix, as you could hear, of the discipline, calm, creativity, all leading up to those beautiful and forgettable moments on stage.
I have a performance. I also try to sleep a lot before. I'm usually not really good at that, to be honest. Also, sometimes I have maybe 2 or 3 performances in one week, and then also rehearsals in the evening. So summing all that together, I really sleep only a little, which is not really good. So don't do that. Don't be like me. But yeah, usually, so ideally I would sleep at least 7 hours. And then also when I get up, try to have a healthy breakfast. So when it comes to eating, I try not to overeat on that day anyway. So a healthy breakfast, yes, but no snacking in between meals, and definitely not a heavy lunch. Unless the performance is in the morning, and then I can eat whatever I want afterwards. But yeah, heavy eating is not a good idea anyway for your health. So for the singing, it's definitely horrible because it really makes you feel so heavy. You don't feel connected, at least that's my case. And all the muscle work, it's simply not working. So I would say eat enough so that you feel okay to go, but not completely full. One thing that I have in common with Daria is that I also sometimes just forget to eat because maybe I have to drive a lot. I'm so busy, organizing stuff, my scores and everything. And then maybe, I just completely forget. And then I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time to cook. Okay, I'll just eat, I don't know, a sandwich or something. I mean, it's not the healthiest, to be honest, but at least it's not too heavy. So maybe, it's also just my brain and body prioritizing the performance over the food. But what I do is I always take something with me. So I always take a bottle of water with me, and then maybe some raisins or some dried fruits in general, because they are easy to carry in a bag and they don't get too mushed. I used to carry real fruits with me, but that was not a good idea. So better something that you can carry in a bag and that maybe stands the cold and hot weather wherever you travel for your concert. I was more than once very thankful to have that with me, because maybe I finished a performance in the middle of the night, or I was right before the performance feeling a little dizzy or shaky, and then I was really happy to have that teeny tiny snack to eat. Then I also try to exercise. I try to do a little bit of cardio, even if it's just light, some jumping jacks, or if I don't feel like that, then maybe I go for a walk. But definitely something that raises your pulsations a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, so that your body and muscles feel activated and ready. Ideally, I would do that in the morning after getting up, because that sets you up for the rest of the day, and that you feel different the rest of the day. You start a day in a completely different way. But sometimes life gets in the way. I mean, with a child, it's also different. You never know how the baby or not so baby wakes up in the morning. So sometimes you can simply not do the exercise that you wanted to do. So then maybe going for a walk afterwards helps. Also, if you happen to overeat by accident, then maybe walking right afterwards is a good idea. So to not feel too heavy when you have to perform then. But again, try not to overdo it. I also do breathing exercises to connect my tone, like the singing and voice, to the airflow and air pressure, and have that all sorted out. I mean, it's something that we know how to do, but when we have a performance, then sometimes on that day we are more nervous, we are more excited and whatever. It also really depends on the performance, but yeah, sometimes just doing the breathing exercises really help. And then the singing is already completely different. But I try to do that after I did some physical exercise. If I sing, big if, if I sing, I don't sing anything from the performance, surprisingly, unless I consider that it's really necessary. But in general, I try not to sing anything that I do have to sing in the performance, because I found out that, at least in my case, it's not helping. It's making me feel more insecure, because if anything goes wrong during the warm-up, so-called warm-up, then during the performance, I'll be more worried about that specific part that maybe went wrong that day. While if something went wrong yesterday, for example, or last week, I think, yeah, but that was a different day. Today it'll be fine. And I've done it correctly many other times, and it went well many other times. So then I just trust that I did all the work before the right way, so that the day of the performance, I don't have to worry. So if I sing, I do either single notes on the different vowels for the different modes, so I try to center the modes, or I just sing other songs that keep my voice centered. So it's maybe also good as a singer that you find out for yourself which songs help your voice stay in center, so that if you have a performance, you can just sing them on that day and they already make you feel good and sure about your technique. And it really helps you to keep your voice stable and stay focused as well, and not think about everything that could go wrong, but actually how everything really works out the right way. So the good muscle memory.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing tool. And actually, maybe it would be a good idea for some of us procrastinators to work a bit ahead of time with the song that we want to perform, to have the song already, you know, in your muscle memory at least like 2 weeks before the performance, just to not stressed. And as you say, that then it makes sense to use the other songs that you already know that put you in the center of the modes.
Yeah, and I mean, if one of the songs that you have to perform happens to be one of those pieces that makes your voice feel centered, then go for it. But usually I really try to avoid singing whatever I have to perform. And then another thing that I do is I meditate, not before I go on stage, but before I leave for the concert. So I haven't done it lately, but I used to do that a lot more last year, because I had to drive a lot. Meditating 5 minutes before you leave, or 10 minutes before you leave the house, you know, you already have everything packed and everything set and ready. You just literally need to take your keys and leave the house. So that's the moment where I sit down for 5-10 minutes and meditate. And then I'm not just performing better, I'm also driving better because I'm more present and I feel more prepared. If I do that, I feel more focused. Talking about focus before, I feel more focused and more prepared to just take anything that comes. So the driving goes easily, and then also the performing, I'm really more centered also emotionally. Talking about emotions, what I try to avoid is I try not to think of myself on stage. I used to do that when I was a teenager, because you dream of being a singer, and then of course you're not a singer yet, so that's all the adrenaline you get maybe. But now I try to avoid that, especially if it's a big performance, an important one, then I definitely try to avoid that, because otherwise I'm a nerve wreck. It's completely the opposite of, like, some people say that it helps them, maybe it also helps you, I don't know, but I really feel more nervous if I do that, so I try to avoid that. And then also all negative thoughts, I mean, sometimes you cannot avoid it, but if I had a bad day, I really try to put that on the side and say, okay, now it's time to work. It's my profession. I'm going to be as professional as I can be. And then all, I don't know, problems or issues that you may have in your personal life, they can wait. They can wait for an hour, 2, 3, whatever that performance may last. And then you also enjoy the performance way more. Sometimes it even helps you to then see things in a different way afterwards because you forget about them, and then afterwards you pick them up in your brain and you see them differently and with a different perspective. So not that this has to be a therapy, but at least, you know, if you really want to be a professional singer, then try to put that on the side. Don't forget it, but ignore that at least for a while, and then you can always come back to it afterwards. And then the last thing I try to avoid that day and also right before the concert is smokers. I'm not smoking. I think Daria is not smoking either, as far as I know. I just try to stay away. I know other singers do, that's fine. It's a problem, but it should not be mine. So I try to stay away from everybody who smokes. Okay, quick run through right before I get on stage. The first thing I do is I brush my teeth, just in case I ate something before. The second thing I do is I pee. And then I stay hydrated, so I always have my water bottle with me. I even have my little cooling bag because I like my water cold. So if you ever see me running around with a blue cooling bag, that's me running to or coming from a concert. Then another thing that I do again is breathing exercises, stretching, dancing or jumping jacks. Anything that keeps my body activated, just in case my energy goes too low right before, because I'm wanting to be relaxed, but you know, okay, being relaxed is important, but still I need to be active. So I try to jump again or dance or do some movement, any stretching exercises. Yawning helps me a lot, so also stretching here. All of this helps me a lot. And maybe some twang exercises, but if I'm backstage and maybe someone else is performing, I avoid making any noises. So just the breathing and stretching already helps me a lot. To be honest, that's already enough if you've done the centering work before. And one last thing I do before I go on stage sometimes is that I repeat the first line or the first couple of lines of the song that I'm just about to sing. Especially if it's a song that I've done a lot, or a song that has very repetitive verses or choruses, because then it's really easy to confuse one verse with another, to put the lyrics from the second one on the first and vice versa. It happened to me a few times. You know, it's just you're on stage and the adrenaline kicks in, and then suddenly you just go with the first thing that comes to your mind, and maybe it's the second or third verse, and it's like, okay, that's not for you guys. So what I do is just I go through it once or twice, just right before I go on stage, so then I remember.
All right, so that would be it for the theory part. So next time we're gonna do some practical exercises. We're gonna show you what we actually do when it comes to stretching, when it comes to some sounds that we go through, some sound exercises. So stay tuned, and yeah, we're glad that you've been with us here today, and thank you so much. See you. Bye.
Bye.